Children are going to school today in the small Birmingham community of Smithfield. Hundreds of kids are learning about the French Revolution that changed history 200 years ago and 5,000 miles overseas. But little do they know, their own backyards were scenes of anguish and terror just 50 years ago. The area that they call home was once known locally as Dynamite Hill due to over 40 undocumented racist bombings of the black community members.
Gunshots through the window were commonplace when we were growing up. And we had a routine that we followed. You hit the floor and crawl to a safe area.
Helen Shirley, now renowned judge in the Birmingham area, grew up on Center Street. In the early 1960s, Center Street was the color line for Birmingham. The white residents lived west of Center Street and the black residents to the east. As the city grew bigger and the public unrest from segregation grew larger, young professional black families began to move across the understood boundary.
You did not have encouragement. In fact, you had active discouragement and active intimidation of people who wanted to do these sort of cross-cultural, cross-socioeconomic, cross-political gatherings of folks.
Many individuals of the white part of the community did not take well to these progressions. What started as verbal altercations turned to rocks through windows, then gunshots, and quickly escalated to dynamite. Helen Shirley's father, Arthur Shores, was an important lawyer of the Birmingham community from the 40s through the 60s, taking on cases to advance the desegregation of black youth in the public school systems.
But because of my dad's controversial cases he was involved in, from 1938 to 1963, our family was the target of the Klan. So they shot out our windows so much, my dad put one of the contractors on retainer.
The community looked to the police for protection from the attackers, but were only met with more aggression.
We lived in fear of the police. At 15th Street and 6th Avenue is a church called St. Paul. Martin was speaking in St. Paul Church one night. The windows were open and smoke began to billow in to the sanctuary. The police had set a car on fire in a vacant lot across the street, and the wind was blowing the smoke into the sanctuary. The police were hoping that we would panic and run out of the exits from the church where they could club and beat us to death.
Not only was the police force completely white with the exception of a single black man by the name of Leroy Stover, but many of the officers were members of the racist terrorist group, the Ku Klux Klan.
At that time, I later learned and I saw for myself that there were white police officers who had Ku Klux robes on the back seat of their police units. Because when I was in a police academy training, 3 burst into a training station for firing weapons wearing Ku Klux Klan robes. But I didn't know, but they were firing blanks, trying to scare the blacks that was in the training class.
Attacks continued to get worse as more of Birmingham thirsted for equal rights. So the Dynamite Hill community had to take their protection into their own hands.
Our parents got together and said, hey, look, we got to do something, or we could be next. We gotta be on watch, at night, because that's what they would never bomb anything in the daytime.
The neighborhood watch was established and managed by willing community members in an effort to scare off aggressors and protect the families living there. In addition to the neighborhood watch, the community held weekly meetings in their churches to discuss how best to move forward and who would be on watch that week. These meetings later grew to the mass meetings to discuss marches, sit-ins, and boycotts for the 1963 Birmingham movement led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. From adversity came strategy, hope, and support. Despite their harassment and assault, the Dynamite Hill community not only found how to protect themselves, but further went to change the system and atmosphere that caused such hostility in the first place, so that families years from then would feel rightfully comfortable within their own home on the Hill.